This is D by D, taking it day by day. Hi, my name is Dee, and I'm not young, although I would like to think I'm young at heart. People tell me that I'm always on the go. I'm always doing things, going places, working and playing hard. They see me as a confident, outgoing, cheerful person. That's very nice, but it wasn't always that way. And it's not always the case now, because no one is happy all of the time. When I was young, I refused to eat school dinners and was picky with my food. I was raised in a family of 7. My mother had lost her first husband when pregnant with her second child. She went on to marry again, and then her 17-year-old boy was killed. And shortly after, her second husband died. Her own mother had died on Christmas Day, when she was just 12 years old. And I tell you this because I believe I appear as a strong woman because I was raised by one. I was not a confident child, but I covered this with bravado, and I learnt to get people to laugh with me rather than at me. During my student years, I struggled with depression and eating disorders. My research in various degrees in all sorts of different universities included exogenous and exogenous depression and suicide, eating disorders, self-harm, and breaking the silence. As a teacher, I had seen so many young and vulnerable pupils with various needs, and I wanted to be equipped to help them. I gained confidence as I became older, and I learnt how to feign confidence when faced with challenging, frightening situations. I've always spent time working in the voluntary field, alongside my career in education. I've been a school governor, a chair of a parish council, a Samaritan, a director of the African Caribbean Association, a trustee of the British Association of Counselling and Psychotherapy, and more recently a National Health Service responder and a vaccination steward. Also a Deputy Lieutenant of Gloucestershire and a Global Goodwill Ambassador, Director and VP. I support specific charities such as Refuge and The Haven for domestic violence victims, Race for Life for cancer research, and Mind for those with mental health issues. My love of art and poetry has enabled me to express my emotions and to share some messages. I've had some writings published and have very much enjoyed being part of a predominantly Muslim poetry group called She Spoke, as well as being an old hippie in another poetry group called the New Bohemians. It took me a long time to appreciate what was meant by the imposter syndrome, but when I understood and related to it, I discovered that lots of other people, women in particular, also suffered the same fears, i.e. the fear of not being good enough, of being found out, of not deserving the achievements and recognitions bestowed upon us. I was that classic case. I still wait to be caught. I wait for people to discover that I'm a fraud, that I'm not worthy of the praise, that inside I am still that ordinary, ginger-haired, freckle-faced, buck-toothed girl from the village. Now, I don't want this feeling upon anyone else, but I cannot deny that knowing so many others feel this way too is truly reassuring. But why is this the case? Why do we feel unworthy and not as good as others? Well, I think for me, advertising pressures and societal values played a big part in my faulty body image and my fear of inadequacy. I believed, as the Duchess of Windsor, Wallis Simpson famously said, that one could never be too thin, that looking a certain way would bring about happiness, and that gaining a folder full of qualifications and academic successes would make everything right. It doesn't. As an educational consultant and an international inspector, of course I'm not against the importance of education for empowerment or the importance of leading a healthy lifestyle with good nutrition and exercise. But it's all about moderation, and I believe in the value of moderation, even in moderation itself. Looking a certain way, achieving accolades and certificates and degrees is great, but so is living a life of acceptance, of balance, of kindness, not only to others, but to oneself. I believe we are all precious people who deserve a safe place under the sun. We don't have to like everybody, and we must not expect everyone to like us. I know I have my mother's frankness, and this can sometimes be misconstrued. I know I can be too sensitive and read too much into throwaway remarks or thoughtless texts. But I also know I am trying to be the person I would like to see in others. I'm trying to like myself more, judge myself less, and accept myself, flaws and all. I still worry that I've not been the perfect mother, the ideal wife, the excellent employee, or the unparalleled boss. But I also know that those ideals don't exist. And if you put people on pedestals, they can only go one way. They fall off. I've had an exciting life filled with amazing opportunities, tempered with challenges and sadnesses. I rarely disclose intimate details of my life, but suffice to say, I have learnt that all experiences, good or bad, have been opportunities to learn and relate better to those who've suffered similar experiences. I have learnt that I'm not the only one who feels afraid, and that the brave people are the ones who give it a go, even though they're terrified of failure and ridicule. Hey, if you're not scared of doing something that you're doing, then that doesn't make you brave. It's when you're frightened of something and you go ahead and do it. I have learnt that when I reach out, I can be rebuffed, but more often I meet amazing, inspiring people who help me grow and show me their belief that allows me to start believing in myself and in other people. As Richard Branson is reported to have said, I have found, strangely enough, that the harder I worked, then the more fortunate and the luckier I became. Funny that, isn't it? A lot is to do with hard work. I have learnt that if you don't try, one thing is for sure. You may stave off failure, but you also prevent any remote chance of success. And that's such a shame. I have learnt that the kinder you are, the more successful and gratified and satisfied you become. I have learnt that those who relish in putting you down are often insecure and threatened themselves. I have learnt that I cannot aim for perfection, that good enough is good enough, and that actually, surprisingly, amazingly, miraculously, I'm okay. It took me a long time to realise that. I am flawed, but I'm not bad. I'm just another ordinary human being trying to live my life and help others along the way. I once wanted to be Martina Luther King, Nelsonella Mandela, Maya Angelou, Madame Rumi, but I've settled for Dee Russell Thomas, and I've tried to incorporate some of their beliefs and advice into what I am wanting to be, as me, not as anybody else. Most of the time, life is fine. And when it isn't, I have learnt that darkness passes and there is always a glimmer of light waiting to shine more brightly the next day, or the next week, or the next month. But you have to be patient. Wait for the rays of sunshine and maintain hope. It will pass. If you're still listening to this, thank you for exercising perseverance. And remember, you are unique, and you're worthy, and you are important. So I'm sprinkling a dash of happiness and sending all good wishes your way. Thank you.